The social dynamics of great white sharks are not as well studied as those of some other species, and much of their behavior remains a mystery. However, there are observations, including the ones I'm about to show you, that suggest certain behaviors related to dominance and submission. It's called dominance hierarchy. Although they are solitary creatures for the most part, in some locations there may be some degree of territorial behavior, especially around preferred hunting areas. In this case, the larger shark continues on its path, and the smaller shark goes in a different direction. For sharks, size is everything. I normally follow larger sharks, but because the smaller one, roughly 10 feet long, headed into shallow waters, I stayed on that one. That's because in the shallows, I normally get my best views of these magnificent creatures. It is there that I will most often find them near other fish or large mammals. Here, you can clearly see the iconic orange color of a California Garibaldi. The water is less than 6 feet deep here. But what happens when humans enter the hunting ground? As I lifted the drone, I became aware of a spear fisherman nearby. The shark was headed in that direction. So I lowered the drone once again and followed. I'm standing on the shore far away from this location. There are actually 3 spear fishermen in the frame. The shark diverted its path somewhat away, and my immediate thought was, where did the bigger shark go? From high above, it was nowhere to be seen. However, just as quickly as the shark moved away, it turned back in the general direction of the fisherman once again. So once again, I lowered the drone to let the fisherman hear it, and possibly see it. Still, I got no response. The shark was still approaching. At this point, I decided it best to fly the drone right over to the spear fisherman. It's evident he can possibly hear the drone, but the reaction is not one of acknowledgement. I went back to the shark, hoping the spear fisherman could continue looking. Once I found the shark, still nearby, you can see the fisherman is now underwater, just 20 yards away. He did not seem to react to the drone and continued swimming on the path. It's evident he doesn't see the shark. The shark has moved parallel to the fisherman and continues to move away. To my amazement, the fisherman still continues on his path. The shark also moves forward and away from the fisherman. It's now clear the shark is not interested. In fact, it's picked up speed. The spear fisherman also picks up speed. This made me wonder what could have diverted its path. Did something else grab the shark's attention? Was it the unseen bigger shark? I'd soon find out. When I turned the camera in the other direction, there was a boat, more fishermen. I wondered how the shark would react to a boat nearby. It was apparent it was more interested in continuing in this direction instead of approaching the spear fishermen who were still on the same path. The shark was moving a little faster now. Something is drawing the shark's attention here. With the drone low, I keep it just above the shark in an attempt to let the fisherman see it. The fishermen actually wave at the drone, confirming they can see the drone, but can they see the shark? Here, you can see me lift up the drone again and lower it to signal them. As I move the drone back with the shark, I must return back to my launch point to change batteries. And so I left thinking they saw the shark. When I return, the shark is surprisingly still nearby. It's now obvious it has an interest in the boat. The shark is on a direct path to it. But why? It's at this point that one of the fishermen does something I did not expect. Watch the boat closely. The fisherman goes from the boat and into the water, seemingly to cool down or perhaps do something else. Regardless, this moment does bring me some worry. I move the drone closer and closer. They must hear it. Once again, I move the drone up and down. It's here that the other man finally sees the shark. He points, and a scramble to get the other fisherman out of the water begins. The shark gets within 10 feet of the man before he gets out. Based on the reaction of the fisherman afterward, it's safe to say he was thankful. Scenes like this have likely played countless times without humans knowing. It tells us a lot about both sharks and humans, and it's wise to remember that this scene would have still happened whether my drone was there or not. But the question remains, what is this shark's interest in the boat? The shark is still lingering. Maybe the shark's interest wasn't the man in the water after all. It approaches as the fishermen observe from the safety of their boat. It is right here that you can finally see it. On the boat's right side, can you see it? The fishermen have their day's catch hanging from the boat, exactly from the spot where the man was swimming. That explains it. The shark most likely can sense the fish and the stress signals that they were giving out. The shark was merely following its instinct. But more importantly, footage like this underscores the need to acknowledge situational awareness and the importance of understanding what attracts sharks. In nearly all negative shark encounters, factors like this are what need to be considered prior to the vilification of the sharks. Swimming next to your day's catch is never advisable. While attacks do happen, many happen due to factors that can combine to create a bad situation that could have easily been avoided in the first place. Because after all, in the ocean, there is a hierarchy, and we aren't necessarily at the top at every moment.